Hello, welcome back. This is A Course in Miracles, and if you're joining from Enlightened World Network, A Course in Miracles 365, Awakening to Love, I'm Reverend Tomas. Hello and welcome. So no matter whether you are a rife beginner here with A Course in Miracles, or if you're interested in it and have never opened it at all, or whether you've been doing this longer than I have. I know some of you have been, because you have been fortunate enough to be attracted to this material and have incorporated it and practiced it in your life for sometimes, some of you have told me, more than 30 years. So no matter what your level of exposure to this course is, no matter what your previous or current spiritual practices look like, welcome, because I've got something to comment on and say today. By the way, this is true every day, that really benefits everybody. And we're looking at the student-teacher relationship today. In the Manual for Teachers, we have arrived at the fourth question, question 4, right? What are the characteristics of God's teachers? Okay, interesting, right? What are the characteristics of God's teachers? And there are 10 of them that Jesus outlines. We're going to have 10 separate videos on each of them because there's quite a bit to say, and it's much easier than a lengthy presentation compacting all of that into one. So let's just focus on the introductory 2 paragraphs today. I'm inspired to talk about the teacher-student relationship because it's always relevant. It's relevant whether you're seeking a spiritual home or a spiritual tradition to practice, or whether you're quite comfortable where you are. What I have to say is always relevant on some level. And how can I 100% certainly say that? It's not me saying it. That's all. As always, what you see before you is an image projected on a screen. I think that's funny. Maybe you do. Maybe you're wondering, what the hell am I even talking about? Either way, that's cool. So the teacher-student relationship is very, very interesting because, especially in the context of this manual, which is a spiritual themed FAQ section, by the way, it's stressed, as it is throughout A Course in Miracles, that teaching and learning are indeed the same. So we teach what we would learn. That's one way of looking at it. How do you learn to accept the peace of God? Well, you teach accepting the peace of God. Quite simply. And we're all mirrors for each other. So just as a student is rightfully grateful for the presence of the teacher, so should the teacher be rightfully grateful for the presence of the student. To the extent as a teacher views himself or herself as a healer, which they are, by the way, the healing is of the Holy Spirit. It's not of the ego personality of the teacher. It's not in how they look the part, is it, or how they dress the part. It's in the recognition of the Holy Spirit in the student. That's how the teacher learns, is by recognizing the Holy Spirit in the student. and it reflects back. So my job as a teacher is to inspire you to recognize the Holy Spirit in me, which you'll then see reflected back and recognize as you. It's very profound and it's very cool. And that's how it works. That's how it works. So in these introductory 2 paragraphs, what are the characteristics of God's teachers? Well, God's teachers don't have a certain look, do they? They don't look like, all of them anyway, don't look like they have practiced solitary medication. That was funny. Solitary meditation, right? They don't look like they've been on a hermitage in the Himalayas meditating in a cave for 30 years, though they certainly could be a Tibetan Lama, a Nepali Lama, right? Yeah, could be. Doesn't have to be. Nor do they have to be a certain age. They don't have to be 60 plus. They don't have to be 50 plus. They don't have to be a woman or a man or of a certain sexual orientation. Doesn't matter. The outward appearance of the teacher of God varies greatly. It's, again, form that varies greatly. Content remains the same. We're teaching the same idea. God's Son is forever guiltless and free. You are God's Son. Whether we use those words or not makes absolutely no difference at all. That's the underlying message. The form may differ greatly. Why? There are 8 billion people on this planet. There are a number, many, many of spiritual traditions, from the large traditional religions like Christianity, Islam, Hinduism, right, Buddhism, Judaism that people often think about, to myriad other practices. Why? There've been myriad other times, or so it appears, right? In the world, different cultures, people have different proclivities, different socializations. They've been indoctrinated differently, being raised in completely different parts of the world, where throughout much of human history, one didn't even know about someone else on the other side of the planet. There was no internet. There wasn't any internet until, well, I mean, practically until the 1990s. Think about that. Recent development, right? So the outward appearance varies greatly. Here's something that I think is very, very handy, particularly if you're looking, if you consider yourself to be searching or questing or whatever verb you want to use. If you're looking at different types of spirituality, this is something that I learned when studying Tibetan Buddhism with Lama Michael Conklin up in Portland, Oregon, that he would tell stories that he learned from his Tibetan teachers, who were incidentally from Tibet and born in Tibet before it was invaded by communist China, and had come to the West, a number of them, and taught freely. And a number of them invited people to really, really study the teacher. It's very interesting, isn't it? To really, really study the teacher, not for the outward appearance. To some of you, my outward appearance may attract, and some it may not. You may have watched several of these videos from start to finish. And you may have turned one off after 5 seconds. Why? Because you didn't like the artwork behind me, right? You didn't like the look of my face, or right, what I was wearing. You know, maybe you didn't approve of that. I don't know, right? For any number of reasons. I mean, it could be that you got a phone call and needed to go. I'll never know. It's not check out the outward form for the shiniest object, is it? It's not look to see who actually physically looks the part. And this is a visual Instagram culture, isn't it? It's a visual world where we scroll, and if something doesn't capture your attention right away, you scroll past it. It just is what it is. When we say check out the teacher, it's not the physical appearance, it's feel into what this person is saying. Yes, that's what I invite you to do. Does it ring true for you? Does it resonate? Now, does this person speak directly to you? If so, that's a good sign. If not, certainly one can feel free to move on and scroll on. Absolutely. There has been a teacher sent for you right now. We have looked at this previously, that each teacher of God is pre-assigned students who will begin to look for him or her as soon as they answer the call. Some of you are looking for me right now, and if you're watching this today and this resonates on the deepest gut level, you've found me. And the lamas, the Tibetan lamas that instructed my teacher, Michael Conklin, would say spy on that teacher. Look and observe. Are they acting the vast majority of the time in accord with what they're teaching? In other words, is there some authenticity to it? Or are they simply showing up and it doesn't feel right because you know, and you may have seen or heard them doing the exact opposite? So the do as I say, not do as I do kind of attitude really doesn't work here, doesn't it? No, I invite you to pay attention to your own intuition if you're searching. Does what anyone has to say, a teacher, whether it's me or someone else, does it resonate with you, and can you quite easily feel yourself practicing it? You can use the word see if you want to. I'm encouraging you to really feel it's that deep intuition that is guiding you always. Now, you don't have to consider yourself an intuitive person, yet because you're watching this video about A Course in Miracles, you are, aren't you? All right. So, as we know, a teaching-learning relationship can be as simple as smiling at somebody and wishing them good morning, and that's it. You go your merry way. It can be working with somebody for a period of time, or it, in fact, in rarer instances, could be lifelong. So whatever it is, if you feel compelled to reach out to a teacher and work with that person, do it. Yeah. The outward characteristics vary greatly. And Jesus goes on to comment something that's very, very interesting, something that I want to mention before we wrap up, because one can easily get hung up on this. He goes on to mention that the teachers of God have, and his label here, special characteristics. Some people that you see out there in the spiritual marketplace, call it a gift, whether it's their intuition, that's a gift, or their ability to see, that's a gift, their ability to heal, that's a gift, their ability to predict the future is a gift, right? It's not special. These teachers have these abilities. Some people, it's being a medium, for example. They have what appear to be special abilities. Why? Because that is going to assist them to answer the call. Number one, it's going to assist them to answer the Holy Spirit's call, their own call to awaken, to heal, to teach. And it's going to enable them to attract the people that they're meant to attract at a given time. Those reasons. Ultimately, there's nothing special about the teacher at all. There's nothing special about me at all. I possess no abilities that you do not also possess. Again, I don't have any special abilities or powers that you do not also have. We're destined in this life to develop some, those we're meant to develop, and not others. We're here in the world appointed a task. There are certain people that I am to work with and to reach. And mine is simply to show up in the present moment and teach, because I never know who may be listening. Neither do you. You never know who may be paying attention. So always extend love. And there is nothing that any teacher can do that you cannot also do. You do not have to levitate. You do not have to talk to people that have passed on at all. You don't have to see the future. You don't have to bend spoons. And you don't have to look cool in the process either. We all are the Son of God. Therefore, there is no one who does not have exactly what you have. David simply answered the call in this thing we call time prior to us. That's all. However, the call, as we know, is constant, and you can choose to answer it right now. So before Jesus launches into the 10 characteristics of a teacher of God, which we'll get into beginning in the next video, he says something really interesting that I want to quote, and it's true. All differences among the sons of God are temporary. Yeah, all differences are temporary. I show up right here as an image projected on your screen, a so-called reverend, minister, teacher, mentor. Yeah, okay. That's what I say I do when someone asks me, hey, what do you do? Lead with that. Just as anyone would lead with their occupation in the world. It's a temporary situation so that you may find me, that I may find you, that we may find each other and learn maximally from each other during the period of time that's allotted to us. And we can safely relax and trust that inner teacher. This is what A Course in Miracles invites us to do. So as we go forward over the next 10 days, talking about these characteristics of what Jesus calls an advanced teacher of God, I want to invite you to pay no attention to the label advanced. These are all things that you can develop on your own. And as you might imagine, this being A Course in Miracles, some of them have slightly different meanings than what we consider in common parlance. Preview, trust, right? That's the first one that we'll cover in the next video. Slightly different meaning, of course. This is A Course in Miracles, and it is determined and designed to get us to reconsider, to question the foundations of everything you now believe. Not everybody is ready and willing to begin that process. That's why I'm not for everybody. There are myriad teachers out there. And whether you work with a human teacher or not, we're encouraging you, all of us, to get in touch with your inner teacher. That's what Jesus wants us all to do. So, to the extent that this particular message resonates with you, as always, I'm here to help, here to serve as a guide in any way that I can. That's what I'm here for. All right, guys, thank you so much. And we'll see you the next time.